Welcome to the YOFC Anti-Bribery and Anti-Corruption Training course. First, please watch the video speech from the CEO.
作为行业领军企业，常飞秉承客户责任、创新共赢的企业价值观，积极践行企业社会责任，致力于成为卓越的企业公民，贿赂、破坏商业诚信体系，妨碍市场机制的健康运行，社会危害不容小觑。常飞坚决反对任何形式的贪污、腐败、受贿和行贿行为。在常飞运营的所有国家和地区，常飞员工要严格遵守适用的反贪污、反贿赂、反腐败法律法规，与客户、供应商、监管机构和其他外部人士建立并维护廉洁、公正、健康的业务关系。君子爱财，取之有道。常飞员工要始终以常飞的整体利益和长远利益为根本出发点，忠于职守，严于律己，奉公守法。历史经验告诉我们，从守法公民到狱中囚徒，往往只是一念之差。我希望每一位员工都要保持清醒的头脑，不逾矩，不越线，恪守合规准则，防微杜渐，行稳致远。
We will deliver the course mainly from four aspects as follows. What is bribery? Overview of the global anti-bribery and anti-corruption, national and international representative cases, YOFC anti-corruption policies. Before commencing the course, please test your level of knowledge and compliance awareness on anti-bribery and anti-corruption by taking the quiz below. If the answer is wrong, your awareness on anti-bribery and anti-corruption needs to be improved. Hope this course will be of help to you. If the answer is correct, you are equipped with certain awareness of anti-bribery and anti-corruption compliance. Hope this course will help improve your understanding in this respect. What is bribery? Bribery refers to the act of giving or promising to give money or other benefits to a person with authority or influence. Its purpose is to induce the recipient or relevant institutions to make decisions or take actions that favor the giver, thereby enabling the giver to obtain benefits, typically improper gains. If you encounter any of the phrases or similar descriptions at the bottom of the page, no matter in Chinese or English, it is likely to mean bribery. The key elements of a bribery include: conduct means the act of providing, proposing to provide, or promising to provide interests of economic value or other benefits. Interests and benefits of financial value include money, physical assets, commercial sponsorships that undermine fair competition, complimentary entertainment, travel, site visits, etc., various membership cards, gift cards, prepaid cards, and other valuable securities. Right to use a property such as houses or vehicles. Equity interests received without payment or dividends in a company or enterprise. Economic benefits provided through gambling or under the guise of fees for promotion, publicity, advertising, training, advisory services, consultation, technical services, etc. Other benefits include any other things of value, for example, special favors, preferential treatment, or advantages such as honors, educational opportunities, employment, household registration, or similar concessions. Purpose of the bribery is to obtain an improper advantage with corrupt intent. So what is corrupt intent? Corrupt intent means the intention to obtain a benefit by improperly influencing someone's decision, that is, by offering them something of value, instead of obtaining approvals, permits, or treatment from public authorities by complying with legal and procedural requirements or conducting fair competition in business activities by quality, price, and services. A company may be founded to have corrupt intent if it demonstrates willful blindness or gives tacit approval to red flags indicating corrupt acts by its departments or employees. Bribery is typically directed at individuals or entities in a position of authority or influence. Depending on whether the recipient is a public official, bribery is categorized as bribery of public officials, bribery of private individuals or entities, the latter commonly referred to as commercial bribery. To distinguish between bribery of a public official and private commercial bribery, the key is to ascertain whether the recipient qualifies as a public official. Public officials may include government officials, civil servants, judges, prosecutors, arbitrators, employees of state-owned or state-controlled enterprises and institutions, staff of quasi-governmental organizations that perform public functions or are government-authorized. In certain jurisdictions, this may also extend to members of political parties, royalties, and candidates for public office. Commercial bribery, which occurs in the context of business transactions, targets private parties rather than public officials. Its intent is typically to secure an unfair advantage, such as boosting sales, suppressing competitors, or winning contracts improperly. A briber may be either an individual or a legal entity. An act of bribery committed by an employee acting within the scope of their employment is generally attributable to the employer. Next, let's clarify some common business practices that can be mistaken for bribery. We'll focus on 3 areas: discounts, commissions, and gifts. Legitimate discounts must be properly recorded in the financial books and made directly to the purchasing entity at an agreed percentage rate, not to its employees or any third party. An illegal discount, commonly called a kickback, constitutes commercial bribery if it involves an off-the-books payment to the purchaser, typically in cash, kind, or otherwise, which is concealed from the accounts. Such payments are often directed to the purchaser's employees or a third party. The key legal hallmark for identifying an illegal discount is the concealment of the payment from the official financial records. A commission is legitimate compensation paid to an intermediary for services rendered in facilitating a transaction. Its key distinction from a discount is that a commission involves a third party, whereas a discount is an adjustment strictly between the direct parties to a transaction. A commission may be paid by one or both transacting parties, but it must only be received by the independent intermediary providing the service, not by the parties themselves. This is a critical factor in distinguishing it from a disguised discount or kickback. Commissions are a high-risk area, as they are a common guise for commercial bribery. Particular scrutiny is required to ensure their legitimacy. Commissions that are fictitious, for example, paid to a non-bona fide intermediary who serves merely as a conduit or excessive disproportionate to services rendered, are typically treated as bribes. For these reasons, the legitimacy of commission payments is a major focus of anti-corruption enforcement worldwide. The provision of promotional gifts of modest value is permitted as part of normal business courtesy, provided it conforms to accepted business practices. Crucially, if the value exceeds a reasonable threshold, it may constitute bribery. It is recognized that not every gift or instance of hospitality is a bribe. Legitimate exceptions include: first, payments or gifts that are expressly permissible under applicable local law. Second, reasonable, legitimate travel and accommodation expenses that are directly related to the demonstration, promotion or explanation of products or services, or the negotiation or execution of a contract. So what is considered reasonable? By reasonable, we mean the practice is consistent with local ethical norms and in full compliance with all applicable laws. Involves modest gifts, for example, promotional items with the company logo of low monetary value, or hospitality, for example, meals or entertainment provided at an appropriate venue and scale that supports a bona fide business purpose. The interpretation of reasonable varies significantly across the world due to profound differences in cultures, values, and legal systems between Eastern and Western countries. So how do we determine if a gift or commercial entertainment is reasonable or not? A simple but effective standard is to apply the headline test. Would you and the company be perfectly comfortable if this gift or entertainment were to be publicly reported in the media? If the answer is yes, it is likely appropriate. Corruption and bribery undermine fair competition and erode trust in society. To combat this, nations have established strict laws for punishment. On the global stage, countries have also joined forces, creating international treaties to unite and intensify the fight against these practices. The anti-corruption laws worldwide include China Criminal Law and Anti-Unfair Competition Law, U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, UK Bribery Act, France Sapin to Law, Russia Penal Code. These laws often have extraterritorial reach, meaning a country may apply its laws beyond its own territory. For example, a Chinese citizen committing bribery abroad could be held accountable under China's criminal law. Likewise, bribery by a Chinese subsidiary of a U.S. public company could lead to prosecution in the U.S. International conventions include OECD Convention and UN Convention Against Corruption. Let's begin with China's legal framework. The primary laws prohibiting bribery are the criminal law and the anti-unfair competition law. These laws prohibit two main categories of conduct. 1. Public bribery, bribing government officials or SOs. 2. Commercial bribery, bribing individuals or entities in the private sector. The scope of application covers 1. Any organization or individual within the territory of PRC. 2. Any Chinese citizen outside the territory of PRC. In China, possible penalties for breaching the laws related to bribery include committing bribery in public office. Individuals, up to life imprisonment together with fines or confiscation of all properties. Entities, fines and up to 10-year imprisonment for responsible individuals. Committing commercial bribery. Individuals, up to 10-year imprisonment together with fines up to RMB 1 million. Entities, fines up to RMB 5 million and up to 10-year imprisonment for responsible individuals. In addition to statutory laws and regulations, China employs additional mechanisms to prevent and combat corruption. These include, for example, the 6 prohibitions issued by the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and their accompanying hospitality standards. Familiarity with these rules and standards assists enterprises in managing relationships appropriately during commercial activities, thereby reducing and mitigating anti-corruption compliance risks. Beyond China, how do other countries around the world regulate in this regard? Let's review the relevant legal provisions in Russia, Indonesia, Peru, Brazil, Turkey, and Mexico. In Russia, the anti-bribery law prohibits bribery of state officials including domestic, foreign, and officials of international public organizations. Bribery of individuals working for private commercial organizations, commercial bribery. The law applies to individuals of any nationality whose criminal acts take place within Russian territory, Russian citizens and stateless persons who are residents of Russia, legal entities that are registered or conduct operations in Russia. In Russia, possible penalties for breaching anti-bribery laws include: what are the penalties? Criminal penalties for the briber or intermediary: up to 12 years imprisonment and a fine of up to 70 times the value of the bribe, up to 15 years imprisonment and a fine of up to 90 times the value of the bribe. Criminal penalties for giving or receiving kickbacks: for giving a kickback, up to 6 years imprisonment and a fine of up to 70 times the amount paid. For receiving a kickback, up to 12 years imprisonment and a fine of up to 90 times the amount received. Administrative Code, a fine of up to 100 times the value of the assets or valuables transferred, the bribe, or the kickback. In Indonesia, what conducts are prohibited by anti-bribery laws? Bribing government officials. Who is subject to anti-bribery laws? Indonesian citizens and legal persons, foreign individuals, entities conducting business in Indonesia. Penalties for breaching anti-bribery laws in Indonesia include imprisonment for a term of 1 to 20 years, a fine ranging from either 50 million approx. $3,000 to either 1 billion approx. $60,000, confiscation of illegal gains, temporary closure of the whole or part of the company's business for up to 1 year. In Peru, what conducts are prohibited by anti-bribery laws? Bribing government officials including judges, prosecutors, police officers or foreign public officials. Who is subject to anti-bribery laws? Peruvian citizens, residents, and legal entities. Foreign individuals or legal entities whose acts or their results take place within Peru. Penalties faced by bribers for breaching Peru's anti-bribery laws include 4 to 6 years of imprisonment, a fine of 2 to 6 times the value of the benefit obtained or expected, a ban on engaging in related commercial activities for 6 months to 2 years, permanent debarment from entering into contracts with the government, temporary or permanent closure of establishments or offices. In Brazil, what conducts are prohibited by anti-bribery laws? Bribing government officials or foreign government officials. Public agents or officers, private companies and individuals can be held liable if fraud is committed in public biddings. Who is subject to anti-bribery laws? Brazilian legal entities. Foreign legal entities, with head offices, branches or representative offices in Brazil. Individuals, either Brazilian citizens or foreigners, that violate Brazilian legislation. Penalties bribers may face for breaching Brazilian anti-bribery laws include fine ranging from 0.1% to 20% of the company's gross revenue, confiscation of illegal gains, 2 to 12 years imprisonment, publication of the conviction decision, business suspension or compulsory, dissolution of the legal entity. In Turkey, what conducts are prohibited by anti-bribery laws? Bribing a public official, or a person designated by such official. Bribing an individual acting on behalf of a public institution including listed companies. Who is subject to anti-bribery laws? Any person whose acts are committed, or whose results occur within Turkey. Penalties bribers may face for breaching Turkey's anti-bribery laws include fines of TRY 10,000 to TRY 2 million, approximate RMB 1,600 to 330,000 can be imposed on the company. Confiscation of illegal gains, 4 to 12 years imprisonment. Government-issued licenses or permits may be revoked. Mexico is a member of the UN and OAS anti-corruption conventions. Mexico limits the value of a gift that can be accepted by public officials. The criminal code prohibits abuse of official duties, blackmail, embezzlement, gaining wealth illegally, bribery, confiscation of illegal gains and criminal penalties. OECD standards are applicable. If bribery is illegal everywhere, does that mean corruption levels are similar worldwide? In fact, they vary dramatically. A key reference is the Corruption Perceptions Index (CPI) published annually by Transparency International, which ranks countries based on perceived public sector corruption. The CPI reflects the insights of experts, business people, and analysts globally. Below is the global CPI map for 2024. Case 1. Telefónica bribery. Case 2. Siemens Global bribery. Case 3. Rio Tinto bribery. Case 4. Lucent, Wei Chuan Hong, Dazhong Technology. Case 5. Former Herbalife China CEO was charged in the USA for bribery. While bribery might generate short-term gains for a company, it ultimately causes severe long-term damage. Geographically, a company's legal exposure extends beyond its home country, where it is headquartered, to include every host country where it operates. In terms of types of legal liability, a company may face administrative liability, fines, revocation of business licenses, or operational restrictions. Civil liability. For example, the company may sue bribing employees for damages, or injured parties may claim compensation from the bribing company or individuals. Criminal liability, including corporate fines and imprisonment of responsible personnel. Beyond direct legal penalties, companies incur significant additional costs such as audit, attorney, and investigation fees. Other severe consequences include major reputational harm and potential disciplinary actions by governing bodies. As YOFC's operations have expanded globally, conducting business in regions with low CPI rankings, deemed high risk, requires heightened vigilance. To this end, the company has established a suite of internal policies designed to safeguard lawful and compliant operations. Now, let's walk through the key anti-corruption policies of the company. Employee Code of Conduct 2024 version. Employee Handbook 2022 version. Regulations on YOFC Employee Honesty and Integrity Management March 2020 version. YOFC Commercial Due Diligence and Compliance Certification Policy 2005 version. Code of Business Conduct for Third Parties 2024 version. As a YOFC employee, it is your responsibility to understand and comply, thoroughly understand and strictly adhere to all anti-bribery policies and regulations, conduct due diligence, exercise due diligence on agents and business partners to identify and address any red flags, withholding payment, refuse to process any payment or reimbursement until all concerns and red flags are fully resolved. Maintain accurate records, ensure all business activities and expenses are recorded accurately, completely, and truthfully in the company's books and records. Remember, it's everyone's role. Compliance is not solely the function of the legal and compliance team, it is an integral part of everyone's daily responsibilities. In summary, based on the fundamental concepts of bribery, the laws of various jurisdictions, and YOFC's internal policies, you need to understand the following points. Bribery can involve anything of value, such as gifts, hospitality, loans, or the offerings of employment opportunities. Providing indirect benefits can be considered bribery. The act of offering, promising, or authorizing a bribe is sufficient to give rise to liabilities. A company may be held liable for the misconduct of its agents or business partners. The law does not prohibit reasonable business hospitality. If you have questions, need guidance, or wish to report any suspected misconduct, we also provide you with the following anti-corruption resources. You may report any suspicious corruption events or incidents via below channels. Your direct supervisor. YOFC Human Resources Center. YOFC Law and Compliance Center. File a complaint by calling hotlines or sending emails. In closing, every YOFC employee must remember, wherever we operate and whatever we do, conducting business with integrity and transparency is our unwavering commitment. Upholding the core value of integrity is our creed. Compliance is the foundation that allows us to operate sustainably and advance steadily. This concludes the formal training session. Next, please watch the follow-up animated case study and complete the post-course assessment. Thank you. Jason is the head of procurement at Company A, and Jack is his predecessor. Jack had previously onboarded Company B as a supplier during his tenure. After Jack's departure, Jason assumed responsibility for procurement for Company A. John is the general manager and legal representative of Company B.
One day, John invited Jack to a restaurant.
Could you introduce me to Jason in Company A's procurement department? It would help secure continued orders from them. I'll give you 5% of the total procurement value as a commission.
No problem. He's a close friend of mine. Leave it to me. I'll set it up.
A few days later, Jack arranged a dinner between John and Jason.
Jason, a pleasure to meet you. I hope you'll consider our company favorably going forward.
Certainly. We'll see.
Following this, Jason placed multiple orders with Company B, causing Company A's annual procurement spending to surge from over RMB 300,000 to more than RMB 30 million. Consequently, Company B's monthly sales skyrocketed from an average of RMB 215,000 to RMB 3,648 million. During this period, John instructed the company accountant to wire 5% of each month's payment received from Company A via the personal bank account of a former employee, Miss Sue, to Jack's personal account as a commission. Jack then forwarded over RMB 1 million in total to Jason through multiple cash payments and bank transfers.